Hi out there, I'm Tyler Driscoll. I'm 30 years old and I'm a former prisoner and gone. And I've served between 11 and 12 years. IPP, also known as Interment for Public Protection. Now, during my time, I was a listener, which is operated and run within the prison systems by the Samaritans. And this is what I'm going to be discussing today in this video. So please show your support and hit the thumbs up for this video and a trustworthy cause. So the very first listener scheme was rolled out and introduced all the way back in 1991. And this happened in HMP Swansea and has been ever since so vitally successful. It has now been rolled out throughout the whole of England, Scotland and even Wales, and has even been now started to roll out at various parts of Ireland. So prisoners do not get paid and they do not receive any form of benefits for the voluntary role of becoming a listener. Samaritan staff volunteers, they work with the prison service staff to select and train prisoners that have shown interest in the listener scheme. Once appropriate prisoners have been selected, they will attend a very intensive training course, and upon completion they will receive a certificate of recognition for this. Now, during this process of the graduating ceremony, the listeners will also agree to follow all of the Samaritans' policies and values. They will then, from that point on, attend regular meetings and have regular support whenever needed, especially when there has recently been any suicides within the prison and custody environments. Because of the listener scheme, the prison service has a vital and free resource that can and does make a difference for people contemplating self-harm and suicide within the prisons. So, as an example of how vital this is, one statistic for you all out there is throughout the whole world, not just in prisons, 1 in 5 people actually experience thoughts of suicide and self-harm. So this shows and demonstrates the importance within prisons where people are unable to get help as much. So during my time as a listener, at times it was frustrating as you could get called out repeatedly for the same individual, even in the same night, within hours or minutes. The call outs have no limit, so it's as long as the listener deems is necessary, or the listener feels like they're getting too exhausted to carry on to provide a quality service. And I think my longest call out for a prisoner in emotional distress and emotional support was 3 hours, and this was my most rewarding time, as this guy was suicidal. I think he was about 21. He'd just come into prison his first day on the worst wing. Over 400 or 500 prisoners with understaffed prison, and overseeing that Pacific Ring was about 1 or 2 prison officers. By the time I left, he was smiling, and he managed to get a mattress, a pillow and his kettle back. I'm not sure if he got his TV, but that's a massive improvement considering when I went in, he attempted to hang himself prior to that. So officers, for the safety of himself and others, had to remove everything from his prison cell. Luckily, he was on his own. However, he was in a double cell due to the shortage of single cells in the prison service. Now, if another prisoner was in with him, this could have realistically caused the emotionally affected prisoner to being even worse and followed through on anything. So also it's worth to remember that people that sign up for this voluntary role have to be committed, because you can be called out at any time of the day that you're on duty, and the duty when you're on lasts for 24 hours, day and night. So if you get on duty at, say, 4 in the morning, then you have to be ready at all times, whether you're working, whether you're in your own leisure time at the gym, or even just relaxing in the evening or on the phone, having a private phone call. You would have to be ready by 6 the next time that arrives, or at any time, 24 hours from when your shift starts. Now, some prisoners, or most prisoners, discuss their mental health, which the prison service is struggling with massively. And a common feature that is discussed is medication, not being given the right medication being stopped randomly. Some of these prisoners have schizophrenia, so it's really not good that their medication is stopped, because they'll deteriorate, start to hallucinate, which further puts themselves and others at risk and heightens their risk of suicide and self-harm. Some prisoners do self-harm. They swallow batteries, swallow razors. Some do hang themselves, and most of them, they do cut themselves with blades, razors, broken CDs, etc. Sometimes this is minor, but other times this is very serious. And during my time as a listener, and even in prison, I was trained in biohazardous waste removal. So unluckily enough, that means when someone self-harms or even go on dirty protest, I would then be required, or any biohazardous trained prisoner would be required, to go into that cell and clean it up and make it ready for them to be returned to the cell or for new occupants. Now, sometimes this, if they've been on dirty protest, that would mean human feces spread over the walls. They could be in that situation for days on end, so it's really not nice. Smells really bad, guys. Sometimes the people have urinated everywhere, and if their mental health has gone downhill, you'll find the prison cell is totally trashed. Rotting food where they've not eaten, which adds to the stench and causes the prisoners to draw more attention by other inmates, which can worsen their situation. And sometimes we have to clean up the blood as well. And I have no idea how, but some of the occasions I've gone into cells where they've self-harmed, and there's blood not just over the walls, but all over the ceiling, all over clothes, in their food they've not eaten. And what is most distressing and worrying, and actually shows the extreme circumstances that these prisoners are finding themselves in, is they actually use their blood or feces or urine to put messages on the walls or ceilings as a cry for help. Normally the message will have some sort of significance to that individual, or what is going on for them in that point in time, or something that they need to get out of their system and be heard about. So listeners do have dedicated listener rooms, but sometimes if there's an emergency and the situation requires, we can use our own discretion to go in that cell, and we will be checked upon every hour, half hour, for the safety of both of us. As a listener, we are trained to respect people's choices, even if that does mean taking suicide. However, we can and we do actively explore all the options open to them, or avenues they've not thought of, including consequences, or if anything goes wrong and they end up in a worse situation as a result of a suicide attempt or self-harm, if that is severe enough. Most listeners, they do really appreciate it, and they become very friendly with listeners after, because they just need that helping, friendly face that they can get support from. And really, this is a very, very, very rewarding job. It doesn't really need being paid for or have any benefits, which it does not, because all the benefits and rewards is given. But at the end of the day, when you're woken up 3-4 in the morning, and then you've come out after half an hour, 5 minutes, or even 3 hours like myself, but knowing that you've saved someone's life, or you've stopped someone self-harming to such a serious degree that they're not going to disable themselves or worsen their life in any way, and that you've actually saved someone's family. That could be someone's son you saved, their brother, their sister, could be a colleague, or even an old friend that you forgot about that you went to school with. So I'm not going to discuss too much about listeners, because individual cases, because it is private and confidential, which is why I've been vague. But I hope this has raised your awareness of this very important and vital service offered to the prison service by Samaritans. So it would be much appreciated if you share this video and give it a big thumbs up, and give as many likes as you can to show your support. And remember, whether you're in prison or not, and you see someone on their own, quiet, whatever, just say good morning, ask how they are, because that friendly smile and that good morning, how you are, could be the difference of saving them from committing suicide or self-harming. So I hope you enjoy your day, and don't forget to hit the thumbs up. Thank you.